Testing 1, 2, 3. Are we in? Okay, there we go. I forgot to plug my mic in, but we are here. Surprise, people. We're back. The Rem and Sam podcast. And yes, it will be the Rem and Sam podcast in a little bit. Our guy Sam is cleaning up some business. maybe we shouldn't phrase it like that. We don't really know what's going on. Our guy is running behind. He will be here in a second. But we figured Brady's not providing any analysis right now, so we'll just go ahead and jump on and start talking about football. We got Lions, Cowboys on in the background. We actually got, of course, like everybody, we got Red Zone on in the background. But Lions, Cowboys is the game. And we may just flip over and go straight Lions, Cowboys. Chargers, Broncos is turning into a little bit of a blowout. The Chargers, like we thought, were the superior team. They said there was a little Harbaugh in the locker room, back out to the sideline. I don't really know what was going on with that. Maybe we'll get onto Twitter and see what was going on in a little bit once Sam gets on. But seems like everything's clicking for the Chargers. And, of course, the NFC South, those battles are going to be sloppy. They're going to be competitive. And the Falcons are just now starting to get their rhythm. They just scored another touchdown. I believe it's 14-7 in that game right now as we jump on and start the stream. But we'll be here for a little bit reacting and watching along to the NFL games. And we also had a little bit of WNBA as well, too, in the mix. Game 2 of the WNBA Finals just finished up a little bit ago. And the Liberty have now tied up the series. It's 1-1. The Lynx, I mean, with how dominant the Liberty were in the regular season, and I mean, incredibly dominant as well, too. Hello? 3, 2, 1? Sorry, technical difficulties, people. We'll be back in a second. Okay, there we are. We're back. But with as dominant as the Liberty were in the regular season, and then again, they did dominate a lot of that game one. The Lynx were able to storm back in the fourth quarter, and then, you know, were able to get it in overtime as well, too. And the Lynx, the defense, I mean, the Lynx were they the number 2 overall seed in the WNBA? I don't remember if they were. I mean, they were top 2 or 3. It was the Liberty, and then it would have been, yeah, either the Lynx or the Sun, 2 or 3. But regardless, you know, they were right there in that tier B for competitive teams. So no surprise, but there was a little bit of question. It's like, oh, are the Liberty, you know, how much of a superior team are the Liberty? At least for me anyways. Again, with as good as the regular season record was, and with as stacked as that triple-headed, you know, core that they've got with Sabrina and Breanna Stewart and Jonquil Jones, and they had it as well too. Big start. Sabrina was amazing in the first quarter of this game, hitting all like the little runner floater shots that she gets to. And I mean, she's got the swag as well too. She gets the crowd going. She really starts pumping people up, and she was fantastic to start the game. But the Lynx hung in there as well. So game 3 is going to be super competitive. It's going to go back to Minnesota. And again, you know, the shorter the series, the more the games are magnified, especially you only have one extra home court too in a game of 5 series with that game 5. Still the deciding game, which is ultimately going to be an advantage regardless, but still you only have that one extra home game. So now you go back and you only need to win, what, 3? So I guess they'll still need to win 2 or 3 here at the end. But incredible game, a much better finals than the NBA finals themselves, and the star players, of course, showing out and delivering big performances. We'll get a box score here and see what Sabrina ended up actually finishing with. 15 for her, 5 and 9 from the field. So in terms of the shot-making aggressiveness, you know, backed off a little bit after the first quarter. But again, they've got all the stars. And Lainey Hamilton, too, she was great today. 4 for 6 from 3. She hit a couple of big threes in the fourth quarter. Yeah, Sabrina had the highest plus-minus of anybody today, plus 20 in the game. And they were able to pull away 66-80 was the final score. And Kayla McBride for the Lynx, 3 and 9, only 8 points. Courtney Williams still showing up, 7 of 14, 1 of 2 from 3. Courtney Williams is quickly becoming one of my favorite just basketball players in general. I'm going to start playing like Courtney Williams because she's just, I mean, the energy is there the whole time. She's hitting threes in the playoffs as well, too. She might be the most, again, like not confident. I mean, she might be the most confident player in the WNBA, but when you just mix all the confidence and the swag and the charisma together, and then the ability to just like after you hit a couple of shots, and because some people, you know, you can hit a couple of shots and be like, okay, we still, like, you're going to be affecting the game. We need to shift the defense and take you out, and the crowd is definitely into it. But certain players, when they really take over a game, they know how to capture the arena, and there's that performer element to the game too, where it's a little bit more than just the play on the court. And Courtney Williams has got 100% of that. And again, if they get good play from McBride in Game 3, they'll be back on track. Collier, 16 points, 7 of 12 from the field. She was performing as well, too. But the Lions now starting to pull away from the Cowboys. And Dak with another bad pick in the red zone. And he keeps throwing the red zone picks this year. I mean, Dak, of course, has always been a little shaky with the decision-making. But this year, and again, the supporting cast, not as strong as it has been in the past, but they actually have been moving the ball down the field. Some of the offensive stats have been good, and if Dak wasn't turning the ball over in the red zone, they might actually, and again, they were able to win that Steelers game, but it was more the Steelers offense than I think it was what the Cowboys were doing. And he threw a pick in the red zone in that game too, and then that other pick wasn't necessarily a red zone pick, but it was a deep shot. It would have put him in the red zone if they had gotten there. So I don't know how you want to count it, but they're driving right now. There's 3 minutes left in the first half. And if I remember correctly, I think they got the ball. Of course, we were watching red zone to start, so it was hopping around a little bit, finishing up some of the other coverages. But I think the Cowboys started with the ball in this one. So the Lions will get the ball in the second half. Again, if I'm not mistaken for it. Going for it on fourth down is aggressive at the 40-yard. They're on 40, so they can give it right back to the Cowboys in field goal, or the Lions in field goal range here. And Dak didn't really have an open receiver on that play, but still forced it. And at a 2-yarder, I mean, it's 2024. Do we want our quarterback rolling out and trying to get that with his legs? And it's the Lions' defensive line, one of the best. And that's Arnold in coverage, who we were, really praising on Friday. So glad to see him stepping up. I mean, Arnold versus Turpin's a little different than Arnold versus Lamb. But regardless, you'd hope for him to win that battle. And that was a good pass breakup because for him, he's a guy that gets knocked for some of the physicality. A little too grabby. Maybe gets there a little bit too early on some of the, again, like when he's trying to break the pass away. But that was pretty clean in terms of getting around the receiver. Didn't really touch him. Turpin, of course, on the smaller side. Pause. But we need Bijan to stop getting these rushing touchdowns in this Falcons game because we picked up Kirk Cousins off the waiver wire last minute. I don't really know what Kirk Cousins was doing in our fantasy league on the waiver wire 20 minutes to kickoff. But especially after putting up, what did he have, like 30 points? 500 yards in the last game. You think you just got to get him on a roster, and I didn't do it either. Anthony Richardson was ruled out, though. And I made the mistake of last week not putting him in, even though ultimately it wouldn't have mattered. But this week we're in much better shape. Pittman coming in clutch because, again, with the way that our roster was looking for a second, we had Puka on IR already. Nico Collins just hit IR. And then it looked like Pittman was going to go on IR as well, too. That would have been our second, third, and fourth round picks. All on IR. But Pittman plays. And then not only does he plays like 16 snaps. And then at one point they put him in the game just like on a third down in the red zone. Maybe it was a fourth down. I don't remember exactly. I think it was a third down. But they put him in. He gets one-on-one. Flacco just lobs it up to him, and he grabs it in the end zone. 35 yards in the day, but was able to get that 1 touchdown. A good, decent wide receiver 2 performance, especially with this team we're going against. Doesn't look like it's on pace to have the most terrifying day. It's still going to be close, though. They've got Josh Allen. That could be 40 points. That could be 14 points. You never know. But Connor having a down day as well with the Cardinals. I don't know if the Cardinals' run game as a whole, though, was necessarily struggling. I felt like I saw a couple of nice rushes from some of the younger players. Benson on the day, 5 carries, 26 yards, 5 yards a carry. DeMercado, 4 carries, 25 yards. So he was over 5 yards a carry as well, too. Again, you know, between them, 9 carries. It's hard to, it's unfair to project the workload stuff out like that. But Connor lost a fumble as well, too. And there was a play in that game. It was a 3rd down. The Packers sent a blitz. I remember because Quay Walker showed the blitz pretty aggressively before the snap. And you need time to see he was running down there pretty close to when they were going to get it. But it was still one of those situations where maybe Kyler had enough time to, because Walker ran up to the line and then, again, just didn't quite time it enough for him to back off just a tad and then run back. So it's like, did Murray have enough time to say, hey, hold up, let's check out of this, let's get a different thing, and let's make sure that we're really recognizing this pressure here. Maybe they were already accounted for, so he didn't have to do it, but he didn't. If he knew where the pressure was going to, and we'd have to go back and watch that play because I don't know if he was looking in that spot and the defender, and there was already coverage there, but he didn't make a decision quick enough. It was a 3rd or 4th and short. And DeMercado had a really good block on that play as well. And I remember that standing out because, again, with Connor losing the fumble, with the other running back seemingly picking up yards on the ground, and then it's like, oh, they're also blocking as well. And we're pro James Conner on this pod, but it doesn't mean the Cardinals don't also have a talented running back room behind him. But Murray rolled out. I remember either threw it back into the middle of the field or threw it away, or threw it. It ended up being incomplete. It was a bad pass by Murray. I don't actually believe I think it didn't even make it back to the line of scrimmage, if I remember correctly. But one of those moments where it was like, ooh, what would like a real, if this was Call of Duty, would Kyler Murray have known to make the checks at that point? But unfortunately, it was real football. Quay Walker was blitzing. He wasn't able to pick it up. We have a chance for a Falcons touchdown here. It's not a passing touchdown. They're going to go 3rd and goal from the 3. We might get one there. They've been running the ball pretty consistently, but they just ran it there and it didn't work. Chargers on a 3rd and 1 to open up the second half. Have a chance to really put this away. And the orange-blue combo kind of works for the Broncos. I know the Broncos fans are going to hate this, but the orange jerseys, any neon-colored jerseys are a little too much. The neon green. And maybe, a younger version of me might have not agreed with that. We would have been maybe pro the lime green Seahawks jerseys. But at this point, a neon jersey is a little too much. And those orange crush jerseys are basically neon orange. But the thing with it is the light dark, they would always wear the darker helmet sometimes. Well, not always, but sometimes they'd have the darker helmet with it. And that is a nice contrast. But mixing the dark pants, the dark helmet, jersey corner on the Rem and Sam zone. Sam and Rem zone? I don't remember what we called it, but it's week 6 NFL coverage regardless. We're mooching off the red zone, so we'll take the name and the feed. Amon-Ra for the first down. Where is he at right now for fantasy numbers? Because, again, the Lions are successful. They're moving the ball. Their offense looks good, so it's hard to necessarily look at him and go, he hasn't been the guy. But I remember having talks with people where it was like, could he be the number 1 receiver this year? If you take him in the first round, it's like, can't really argue with that. But I don't know if he's been quite up there. Brian Thomas, Darnell Mooney, Rashid Shaheed, and we still haven't hit Amon-Ra? Okay, so he's wide receiver 20 on the year. Again, a couple of surprise guys up there. Drake London, wide receiver 8. Shout out living up to the stock. So I would assume maybe second half. I mean, Amon-Ra is going to have a big run at some point in the season. Their run game has been too dominant. They just re-signed David Montgomery. So maybe you want to throw to Amon-Ra a little bit more. You're paying Montgomery now. Let's keep him healthy. They just threw a wide receiver screen to a receiver who made a pretty good effort for a touchdown, but it wasn't Amon-Ra. Is Tim Patrick on the Lions? When did Tim Patrick end up on the Lions? Also, how has Tim Patrick not been getting snaps on the Lions up until this point? Tim Patrick is good. Chat, we like Tim Patrick, don't we? Tim Patrick could get you like 800 yards in a year if you need. Oh, I don't know if he's going to get in. It's going to be close. It's still a good play. Do we need to do the Tim Patrick deep dive and figure out when he ended up on this team? Because, I mean, everybody could use a Tim Patrick, but the Lions as well, too. Because Williams, I mean, we love and he's had a fantastic year, but he definitely has a role. Oh, they're about to give us the backstory here. So, yeah, cut by Denver. So, yeah, he signed in August and then signed to the practice squad in August to Detroit. Was promoted to the active roster on September 24th. And he's played in 3 games this year. But he's only gotten 5 catches, 72 yards. But 5 for 72? I mean, look at that. When you get him the ball, he produces. Let's see how many snaps Tim Patrick has taken so far. Not including this game. Because this wouldn't update in real time, but to get a rough count. 88 snaps for a guy, Tim Patrick. 43% of the offense. So I guess are bad for not paying attention this much. But again, he's only had 5 receptions, so can't say that that's super memorable stat line through 6 games so far. Great effort, though, in the red zone here. And he'll definitely get 70 yards in a playoff game for him if he stays healthy. And don't forget, people, Sam is joining us too. Unless he's pranking us and just getting us on the stream. But either way, I guess it all works out because we're watching football. We're having a good time. It's always fun. The Lions are about to score. Montgomery again. Earning the pay raise. You love to see it. And I will say, I do feel like he's also gotten better as well, too. I mean, he's continued to be incredibly productive on this team, and their offensive line is great. But let's check the old stats real quick compared to last year. Let's see some of those advanced numbers. And again, it's not going to include this game and his performance so far. I mean, 2 touchdowns in, it would be a great addition to the stat line. But I feel like he's been doing it all year as well, too. Yards after contact, he's about the same as he was last year. His yards before contact, down slightly, though. Receiving up slightly. But just, again, running with incredible effort this year. Crushing all the hopes of the people like myself that think Jahmyr Gibbs could be the best running back in the league. And I guess the thing was, like, you know, and I guess he is really good when he gets out there. It's nothing against him. It's Montgomery's just too good. You can't keep him off the field. PFF has Gibbs as the 14th running back going into this week. And they have Montgomery as the 2nd best running back in the league. Wow, look at that. David Montgomery. The run grade is a 4, and yeah, the receiving grade is the run grade 5th overall. Sorry, the receiving grade is 4th overall. But an 89.6 for a guy Montgomery. I mean, almost a 90. If you're a 90 on the PFF, that's usually not just like you're having a great season, but those are like the top ballers in the league. Those are our guys, you know, Fred Warner, TJ Watt. Last year, Ayuk was like the surprise 90 overall, or 90 grade guy. But Iowa State, I mean, they're looking good in college. Their pros are looking good right now. Would there have been an Iowa State prop of which running back would have had a better season between Breece Hall and Montgomery? I could have got Montgomery 8 rounds later, and he's already probably had more touchdowns today than Breece Hall has in the year. How many does Breece Hall have on the year? Because that was the big thing with bringing in Rodgers. They're going to move the ball. Breece Hall is going to get more touchdowns. Breece Hall has 3 touchdowns on the year. So it's, you know, 3 touchdowns through 5 games compared to 9 through 17. Yeah, his touchdown per game is up from a half a touchdown to 0.6. So it's up barely from last year, but up a tick anyways. A few like slightly less touches per game as well. So touchdowns up a little bit, touches down a little bit, pause. Andy Dalton on the move, scrambling for a first down. He's got a motor too, who knew? I guess they call him a red. Was it the Red Rocket because he's a passer or a runner? But David Montgomery in this game, he's probably going to get another touchdown at some point. He's going to have more touchdowns in this game, as many touchdowns as Breece Hall does on the season. And if you count Braylon Allen touchdowns against Breece Hall, if you subtract him out, then David Montgomery's crushing him. Are there other Iowa State running backs that I'm not remembering doing better than Breece Hall? Let's get a quick Iowa State running back update in the league. Okay, I think it is just Montgomery and Breece Hall. So Breece Hall is the worst Iowa State running back in the league, and I took him in the first round. Unbelievable. What do you do, people? It happens sometimes. It happens to the best of us. You take Breece Hall, you take Puka, you take Nico. Breece Hall might as well be on IR. We should he plays tomorrow. You might be watching. Breece, we love you, Breece. 100 yards and a tutty would be nice. Okay, we're about to hit halftime here in 2 of the games. Falcons, Panthers. The Panthers have a chance to cut it to 5 going into half. The jump ball. Is that Leggett? Whoa, Leggett for the tutty. Xavier Leggett gets all the way for the touchdown. We just do a Leggett impression every time he scores. An incredible running back. Can we do that? Are we live? IT. Cut that out if we can't do that. We only bring it up because we're pros. Pro Xavier Leggett. And Andy Dalton can actually get him the ball. Wow, big touchdown. 7 seconds left. It's going to be 22-17 going into the half. Do the Cowboys need to get Andy Dalton back? If they said Dak for Dalton, who says no? What's Dalton's contract compared to Dak's? Is that the only... What's that Steelers game out? Okay, so the Steelers and the Chargers... I guess those games kicked off earlier. So, we're into the third quarter for those games. But speaking of that, should we see if our guy Sam is ready to jump on? Oh, our guy Sam is here. Hopefully hasn't been waiting too long. Okay, let's take a quick break, people, and get Sam on. We'll be right back. Like I said, Sam is joining us, so stay tuned. Hey, here we are. We're back, people. Sam has finally joined us. The crew is back together.
We're here.
He's feeling good. Here. The Chiefs are on bye, and we thought Sam was going to be on bye as well, but he decided to go ahead and check himself in.
Yeah. No, we are here.
Welcome back.
No, thank you. Thank you for welcoming me. It's a great day for me. My fantasy team is going off. I finally benched Travis Etienne. He had a bad week last week. This week he gets hurt early, sits out, and guess who we replace him with? Chase Brown, who's gonna cook on Sunday.
Oh yeah, I had Chase Brown as well too playing.
Yeah, he's cooking. So, but yeah, pretty much average. The Tampa defense gave me 17 points. Shout out, 51-27 against the Saints. They were cooking it today. So, well, we'll see. Mike Evans kind of disappointing. Godwin kind of took all the big stats, but I can't complain. I'm about to be the number one team in my league, so we're not.
Wait, who's your quarterback?
Lamar.
Oh yeah, so you're chilling.
He had an okay day. His rushing yards were kind of low. He had a pick, but like 18 points isn't. I'm not gonna trade him after that.
Hit 18.
But
on
your
the
Colts.
Day.
Yeah, 18 on the day.
It felt like a better performance than an 18-point performance, though. Does there need to be like a fantasy like impact point thing, like? You know, you just get like a boost if you're the best player in the game, because it did feel like, what was his total yardage for the game?
Oh, it wasn't super great when I looked at it. You know, these are one of the things, stats versus the actual game. He had 323. So, I mean, that's insane for this year in terms of quarterbacking.
Yeah, you still ended up having 300 yards. I guess there are some leagues that have, if you get like, you know, certain yardage totals, they'll give you a boost. But yeah. I mean, with the way he's playing right now, and Henry is, I mean,
Derrick Henry's
best running back in the league. I mean, he's playing insane. And your Chiefs are off this week, so feels like they're going to start getting a bunch of hype for best team in the league. And I don't know if it's necessarily unmerited, especially with how damaged your team is right now.
Oh, them over us? I don't know. I mean, we literally beat them on the first game of the week.
I
So,
know, but that
like
feels so
head to
long ago
head,
now.
you see, this is one of those college things where it's like, head to head, which one do you take, and which win really matters. I mean, yeah, it's any given Sunday, but like I don't know. Last week we kind of proved that Mahomes can kind of throw to anyone as long as they're halfway decent. And like Juju Smith-Schuster, like people kind of forgot he is kind of a number one wide receiver when put in the right spots. Xavier Worthy didn't even have that crazy of a game. McCole Hardman's still on this team. Travis Kelce, like we still have a very talented roster around us, and even with Rashee Rice out, and Noah Gray, serviceable tight end, and Kareem Hunt back at it. So of course, all that combined with the go, we're just fine. But I will say, Derrick Henry is on one. And the Ravens, they just had weird losses. The loss to who did they
The
lose to in week
Raiders?
two? Did they lose to the Raiders?
Yeah. I
Oh,
think it's
okay.
you
Yeah,
and the
that's
Raiders are
weird.
their 2 losses. So they only lose to the AFC West.
So it's like the Raiders, they've had some weird losses. Now they are gaining steam, but it's one of those things where it's like, how much can you really trust this team, even though they're on a 3-game winning streak or 4-game?
Well, I mean, if Derrick Henry keeps this up, I get the factor that until we actually see Lamar beat your team, then we're not
Yeah,
going to believe it until we see it. But Derrick
exactly.
Henry's just a whole new animal. And again, I get that they played you in week 1, but you're right. This team is better now than they are week 1. And I think this team is going to continue to get better because you see that their secondary is improving. I mean, their defense played really good today against a offense that we were going through the numbers on Friday, and I get that they're a little inflated for some of the performances, but I mean, this
Yeah.
was the best offense in the league, and they were putting up historic numbers. So it's like, okay, they're going to do some damage in this game. They're going to be hard to slow down. And I mean, the Ravens stepped up and held them to 23 points. I think that's pretty good for this Commanders team. So the fact that I think that they could win a playoff game with you and Lamar not be the best player on offense is a new thing that they haven't had. And again, they had that in week 1. Derrick Henry was on the team, but as they continue to gel, I just think that that threat's going to get bigger and bigger. And the ability for them to control the ball against Mahomes and the ability for them to close out in the red zone as well, too, against a team like you, I think could be big in a playoff series. So as this team continues to get better and as your team continues to get hurt, it definitely, if we're talking about the three-peat, obviously they're the most scariest thing, but it's Derrick Henry can take over and be the best player in the game, and now Lamar doesn't necessarily have to have the ball in his hands. And again, you want him, he's the MVP. If you have him making plays at the end of the game, that's not a bad thing, but he hasn't necessarily been able to do it in the playoffs. Now you don't have to rely on that because of Henry, and he still seems like behind this offensive line, he's potentially in a better spot to stay healthy down the stretch run of a season than he would be on any other team.
Well, and again, I'm looking at the footage again. I again push for interception should be a wide receiver stat. That interception, that Lamar. I mean, what are you supposed to do when they literally
Yeah.
throw it at the defender? But I mean, this is again another college-like thing when you start talking about who the best is. They, lose to the Chiefs, lose to the Raiders. That's like a really low. But the Commanders have kind of been hot. I mean, if for people who are actually watching the NFL, Jayden Daniels is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I mean, he's been legit this year, and he's been like kind of the best kept secret in the league in terms of actual talent. And I don't know. I mean, getting a win against them, even if it is at home, that's nothing to sniff at. So who knows? We'll see how it ends up. I mean, this game kind of showed, the pedigree matters, like the level, the people who've been through the battles, MVP, like, they're not gonna lose at home to a rookie, but it's still it doesn't mean that we can totally forget that Raiders loss and totally forget their own pedigree against the Chiefs.
No, I get it. And again, if we were doing like you're saying, a college ranking and we wanted to put the Chiefs 1, I think that's totally fair. And I'm not going to argue against Mahomes not being 1, but it's just the mental confidence that I have of the Ravens now going into a playoff matchup against yourself continues to grow. But I mean, your defense continues to be really stout, and the defense against the run and the defense in the second half is all still there as well too. So I think, and also just from a fan perspective from people like us, I think it is, like you're saying, super beneficial that they played you in week 1, because if they play you in like week 12 and they lose after they've gained all this momentum, then it's just going to be really crushing for the fan base. And again, for people like myself trusting this team going into the playoffs. But there's going to be so much distance and so much potential improvement for this team between that game and between that playoff matchup. And again, yourself as well, too. You're not the same team. I get, like you're saying, you've brought in receivers to replace the ones that are there. But it continues to be a scary team. And at some point, I'm rooting for the three-peat as much as anybody just because I want to see history. But
wow.
I like greatness. So
wow, you're in.
I'm in. I want to see. If it's in a story, we've never had it happen before. Who knows when we have a chance to see it again? So if the Colts can't win the Super Bowl, I wouldn't say I'm against the Chiefs winning it at all. And I, of course, love Mahomes, but what the Ravens are putting on paper now, building here over the last couple of weeks, and like you're saying, this Commanders team, I think the offense, like you're saying, I maybe nationally still could maybe use a little bit more coverage or whatever, but I think some of the defensive stuff wasn't as bad as people were saying. And they were saying on this broadcast that the Commanders defense had the second best third down defense in the league, just in terms of percentage of first downs that the opponents were picking up. So it's like, okay, they're still managing to get off the field and get stops. And I still think overall an impressive team for the Ravens to take down. But I also thought the Commanders as well, too, hung in this game, and Jayden Daniels really proved that, again, on the other side, I think the Commanders are a team that is shaping up to be a legit playoff team, and they were already, record-wise jumping out in front of the NFC East. But, again, hanging with a team that we're now talking about as maybe the best team in the league and having a chance to win that game. And I think Jayden Daniels having to step up and make real plays, I think that they showed that they're actually going to be a competitive team here as the season progresses.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the division they're in, like, it's just constant incompetency with dealing with the Giants. You look NFC least, Cowboys, and then the Eagles. I mean, we have Nick Sirianni yelling at the crowd, after they fire him when he beats them by 4 points at home, like against the Browns, 1-4 Browns, acting like he actually did something. Like, it's just one of those things where it's similar. The Commanders, I mean, if they can really not, like, their owner cannot mess this up, and they keep their player healthy and stuff, like, they do have a pathway similar to the Patriots back in the day, where their division's kind of bad. Like, they could the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, are still a team that we can't completely forget about, but they've definitely had dysfunction. They're definitely on the decline. And you look at the Cowboys, like, do we ever really trust them? And then, of course, the Giants, that we don't even need to talk about them. So if you really think that the Eagles are going to continue this decline, like, the only losses they've had is them and the Bucks, and the Buccaneers are, like, they're a solid team. And that was week 1. Rookie week 1 is going to be struggling. So it's just, you look at the Commanders' resume, and it does further bolster the Ravens' resume. But yeah, like I mentioned, I'm not ready to put them number 1. The Ravens remind me of the Milwaukee Bucks when they used to win in the regular season all the time, and before they made a certain trade. But yeah, I mean, you run up those wins in the regular season, and then come in the postseason, and you get knocked out, and you're like, oh, let's do it again. Or I guess the Rockets would be a better example. They beat maybe a bad team in the playoffs or an average team, and then you get beat by the real contenders. And I'm done trusting the Ravens. Last year was their year, and I don't see it happening with a second year wide receiver as their number 1.
Zay Flowers, but I thought
he's all right.
Bateman, though, I think is stepping up a little bit. And like you're saying, I mean, the run game is still there in a real way. So, I mean,
And there's going to be wear and tear for Derrick Henry. Like, are we really going to expect this production from a guy who has so many yards on him? Like, again, sure, he may be able to have a couple good games, but, like, the stats are there for a reason. And him at 30 years old, like, is he really going to be putting up 199, 132 yards per game? And that's them winning by one touchdown. Like it's not like they blew him out or he had a special, they needed those yards and that production from him to win the game. So I mean, are they really going to be relying on someone this old to, get it done late in the year when he's already putting up this kind of mileage?
Old man Henry, I don't know. I kind of have faith that this offensive line is going to keep him healthy because I don't think he's getting the same kind of damage that he is getting. And I think like the hits that he's taking
Still
too,
getting tackled at some point.
he
Like,
is, but I think he's also getting tackled by like defensive backs and smaller players versus,
mm,
getting hit at the line as well too. But
interesting.
I do
But
think
it's still wear and tear. Like it's still
yeah,
17 games, right? It's one more game than normal. And then wild card, I mean, if they struggle in their own division, and yeah, if they're anything but the number one in the area, then they have to play an extra game. Like, so that's 2 games more than normal. That's like 200 yards if he's having his normal 100 yard. That if he continues the same pace he's been on, like and those it wears out. And even if he doesn't go out because of injury, he's gonna be banged up. Like I guarantee it. Like every player is banged up at the end of the year, and that being banged up matters more when you're 30 than when you're 26 or 27.
I think for the long term and like is this a foundation like what kind of window
Yeah.
does this team have? I mean, then there's definitely long-term questions with Henry, but it does seem like there is a special season kind of forming here with what's going on. So I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt and say that he's able to be healthy. But the Cowboys are losing right now to the Lions, and what is the
Yeah.
Eagles' record right now? I think the Commanders.
3-2.
So you're not willing to say yet that the Commanders are the best team in that division?
3-2. No, they are.
They
They
are?
are.
Okay.
They are. Yeah, the Eagles have shown some serious problems. Serious problems. I mean, so looking at their schedule so far, so they beat the Packers, what, 5 points, lost to the Falcons by 1, and we know the issues with that, but you drop the ball, you drop the ball. Barely beat the Saints by 3, got dunked on by the Buccaneers at home last week, and then barely beat the 1-4 Browns at home by 4. Like it's I mean, there's a reason why the crowds are yelling fire Sirianni. When none of the like passing, rushing, or receiving leaders have a touchdown. How did they even score a touchdown? Wait, what? I'm trying
AJ
to
Brown did have a
what?
touchdown in this game. Didn't Smith have a touchdown too?
Devontae Smith. I guess it was a run by him. I don't. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong side. Okay, here we go. Okay, AJ Brown. Okay, Jalen Hurts had 2 touchdowns. I was looking at the wrong side. Shout out. Um, AJ
But
Brown, Devontae Smith. But yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts is like kind of. I don't know. I feel like he's the one carrying this team, but
oh yeah,
I don't. I mean, I don't think Jalen Hurts is a problem to you.
I don't know because again, their offense has kind of slumped, and I've always been pro Hurts, but AJ Brown was so good today that it almost made me start to question. And I know people have been questioning Hurts, so it's not like we'd be early to the train for this, but it was making me
Yeah.
be like, how good is he? Like what are we actually dealing with here? Because again, their offense and especially the vertical elements of the offense just hasn't been there the last couple of weeks. But with AJ Brown back, and again, he is one of the better deep ball receivers in the league, so maybe it's nothing against Hurts, but there was a couple plays where it was just simply like he's throwing this ball up there, and AJ Brown is so good at just tracking and adjusting and slowing down and getting into the right position that he needs to be. Pause and made a couple of just beautiful down the field catches where it's like, okay, it's really hard
Yeah.
for with as good as he's tracking this pass for any really quarterback, like just to put it out there and he's going to get it. So again, to have him back, it's this massive thing that you're taking away, so you can't necessarily discredit him for it. But
Yeah, no,
the
for
fact
sure.
that they weren't able to get the down the field stuff, and it did seem like Hurts was in a different place without Brown, was a little bit of a interesting thing to watch. But like I'm saying, I'm pro Hurts, so if you're still in and you think he's carrying the offense, and I'm down for
I don't know.
taking a look
I
at
was
it.
just asking you. I gotta take a closer look at them. I know there's issues. There's big problems there. AJ Brown.
But Sirianni is the most consensus one right now
Yeah, I will say I feel like AJ Brown is the most underrated wide receiver in the league.
because he
He
doesn't get
is
brought up when we talk about best receiver in the league, but he needs to be.
exactly like no, like we're actually not talking enough about next year, like, or not next year, AJ Brown, because
Yeah.
he just casually puts up like big stats, and he's just such a workhorse. He's so huge. He finds the right place, and I mean he's like the upper middle class Megatron when I watch him.
Mm.
He's not quite the greatness that is Megatron, but I think it's because he doesn't put up like crazy highlights like him. But like it's a little bit less, but similar production when you watch their games. I feel like they play similarly. I don't know. Am I wrong on this or?
No, because it's the size and the speed element for him as well too. And it's like,
Yeah.
again, when we're talking about best receiver in the league, like guys like Jefferson and Tyreek Hill, or Jefferson's a little bit slimmer, but he's able to really make up for it with his route running greatness. But even with the plays that I'm talking about, like with him having to slow down and track the ball, like
Yeah.
on those passes, the defender, because of the way the passes were thrown, the defender was able to still make a play on the pass. But also on those passes, most of the time AJ Brown was running down the field ahead of the defender. So it's like, he has the physicality to make the pass through the contact, but also at his size, his separation off the line of scrimmage is just about as good as any receiver in the league. And there's a period last year, there's a month last season where he was putting up like 120 yards a game, and it did really seem like he was ascending to that best receiver. Like, I mean, I don't know, who would you rather have, him or CeeDee Lamb? And it's not like a
him. For
yeah, and it's
sure.
not a diss at CeeDee Lamb or anything like that. CeeDee Lamb's a great receiver, but
Yeah.
I mean,
But no,
me,
him.
how many guys are you taking over him? I mean, Amon-Ra or AJ Brown? Like, it just kind of becomes preference at that point. But
I do think, the thing is that the team. One thing about the Eagles is that their wide receiving core is like kind of perfect. I mean, when you think about what you want for each position, like in terms of being the right body type, being the right shape, like you have your slot, you have the deep, and you have the big possession guy, and that's what you kind of need on a team. And so because there's just perfect body types to fit the roles that you would want in a wide receiving core, I think that's why he has excelled so much. And I mean, he's grown as a player. He's definitely grown. But I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, I definitely, and that's something that the Lions have said they need is that Amon-Ra is great, but he's not. They need a possession guy. They need a big time, big possession receiver, and that's what AJ Brown does best. And so I don't know. I mean, I think Amon-Ra, he's definitely more of a workhorse. I feel like his route running is probably better. But I yeah, I don't know.
did you know Tim Patrick was on the Lions?
I don't know. Poor guy gets thrown everywhere. I remember there was like all the hype around him when he was in the
I'm still pro Tim Patrick. He almost had a touchdown earlier. He's looking good.
No, this is definitely a pro Tim Patrick pod, but it's been tough.
Our team would be Tyler Huntley, Tim Patrick. We're winning 5 games. It's just what it is.
Scrappy wins.
Come on, I need Kirk Cousins to throw a touchdown here. They've been running the ball. It's going to be another run.
Oh, he's on my bench. He's on my bench.
I had to pick him up because Richardson was out.
I tried to warn you. Don't take Richardson. He's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, bro.
Is Richardson?
I'm sorry.
I mean, I don't know if it's just like I've had a detox the last couple of weeks, but
oh god.
I mean, what's going on? All these young quarterbacks are out here like putting up stats and putting up great numbers and looking efficient and being productive after a couple of weeks. Like, Sam, why is Anthony Richardson the only one completing 40% of his passes?
Because he gets hurt. His thing has never been being a good quarterback, like throwing and stuff. Like even Lamar, like there's an intentional thing by him to be like, I need to be more of a passer, passing. And like even at Louisville, it was like, I'm not a running back. Like, so even if you're going to be a rushing, be main part of your game, there still has to be a mindset that you kind of want to be a pocket quarterback. And Anthony Richardson just hasn't shown that. And to be honest, he just hasn't given himself enough time to develop to be a passing quarterback, to be in the pocket, to pass in real game live situations because he doesn't protect his body. And that's the problem, is that it is a mental training that he's going to have to redo. I know it's like similar to Zion Williamson, where it's like he almost had to relearn how to walk and stuff. Like he may have to relearn how to be a quarterback because what he's doing isn't going to work. I mean, I've tried to warn everyone since day one. He's the way he plays. He plays dangerously. He puts his body on the line, and it doesn't matter how big you are. It just doesn't. The league is grown men. Like these are grown men, and you're a kid out there. It doesn't matter how big you are. Week after week, you're gonna get hurt. It's just a human body. It's just physics. And so it's like I don't care how far you can throw the ball. Like, shout out, great play, but availability is the best ability. And I'd rather have a game manager that's going to be there every week who can incrementally get better than someone who can chuck it 60 yards down the field and make Sports Center, but won't be there for most of the year. So, I mean, shout out to him. The potential is there, but he literally needs to relearn how to play as a quarterback, not in terms of like maybe the footwork. I don't know about that, but in terms of protecting your body because he's just hurt way too often. When I saw him hurt twice in 4 weeks, like that's ridiculous. Like you can't, if you're that big and you're getting hurt that much, you're not protecting yourself.
And if it's consistent as well too, it's like you're not changing what needs to be changed,
Yeah.
which is another problem. But you watch Flacco today, and people are like building up Flacco in this offense. Like now all of a sudden the Colts are a sleeper contender with him in there. And yeah, the Colts offense is good with Flacco, but he has some passes today. Like Flacco, I don't think is that much better of a quarterback than Anthony Richardson, but the short game stuff, and you mentioned as well too, but now in the modern NFL, like the ability to just hit the underneath stuff and move the ball down the field incrementally, like that's just so much more important than the occasional big play. And especially in the week-to-week regular season, like, you get into the playoffs, you're going to need to be, multifaceted or whatever. But just in the week-to-week, like Flacco's able to hit the underneath stuff. He's able to make the read. Like there was just a couple of plays on a couple of 3rd and shorts, a couple of 4th downs where the Titans sent pressure and Flacco, made the check, got the ball out quick, easy read. And it's like, it's a veteran move, but just you're right, that quarterback mindset that he has. And I think Richardson as well too is just, for him, it's just a little too aggressive all the way around. It's, like you're saying with the running, but with some of the throwing. And I appreciate the willingness to, take those shots and do all that stuff. But just the ability to see the field and take what the defense gives you. Like if Richardson is hitting these little underneath stuff consistently, then the Colts offense is going to unlock in a way. And it's like, this is not going to be even... it is a step in the Anthony Richardson development, but it's like the math class that you take to get you to college level math, and now you're in college level math and you're ready to go. It's like, okay, well now Anthony Richardson can actually put together the pieces to start becoming like the real franchise quarterback if he can just settle down in this kind of ways. So, and that's what's been so great about the modern offenses for these young quarterbacks. It's been able to make it easy, and you see, and Daniels is what like Daniels. In that offense, they're making it easy for him, but it also has the ability, if he has the read and it's there, like, I mean, you see him in this Ravens game, he's making aggressive passes, he's throwing to the sticks, and he's getting the ball down the field, but, it can be easy. But you get a guy like Bo Nix where, Anthony Richardson's great because he gives you the other element in the high-end athleticism and the deep ball that Bo Nix doesn't have, but what Sean Payton is creating for Bo Nix, like, that's where Richardson needs to be starting and doing, like, those are the simple things that he needs to be getting in his grasp as he starts his career for the quarterback. So seeing Flacco get that simple stuff, and just seeing even Rattler today, like Rattler in the second half, it got away from him a little bit, and that's when he started throwing the ball down the field and started trying to be a little bit too aggressive. But in the first half, when the game plan was easy for him, I mean, the Saints were kind of hanging in this game, and Rattler was like, okay, I don't really know what the difference is here between Rattler and Derek Carr. And with 2 picks, I still don't really know what the difference is. But he's still, like, the way the offenses are able to be simplified. It's just, Anthony Richardson's not taking advantage of that.
And my concern, again, the ceiling is the roof with Anthony Richardson. There's still potential there, but we need to see him take care of his body. Similar like Zion. There's just a history of injuries with Richardson, even before the NFL. And when your main thing is how athletic you are and you don't really have a great pedigree, I mean, I'll pull up his college college experience. But I mean, as far as I know, it wasn't like obviously there was enough to be drafted, but not in terms of like anything super special. Let's see here. Actually, let's pull it up. But it's just there's a history of him not taking his body going back to high school. You know, we want to get real with it all the way to high school. So he only played 3 years. He played a total of 24 games at Florida. 24 over 3 years. Like, that's a problem. That's a problem. But going back to what I mentioned, so I'm sure you know this, Rem, but for people at home, he got injured September 2021. He had a thigh hamstring popped. Then he had a knee meniscus tear, and it was something that an injury that he said originated in high school. So he hadn't taken care of it up to that point. And then he said he tore it off the bone against Florida State, and he got surgery. And and then I guess, but somehow, I guess he had. So let me see here. Somehow he tore out the bone November 2021, but somehow in October. Oh, okay. But earlier that year, I don't know why they listed it in non-chronological order. Okay. Anyway, earlier that year, he also had a concussion against Georgia, and then he was available as emerging quarterback. And then he got hurt last year. But my main concern is that knee meniscus tear. You had an injury since high school, and you didn't take care of your body at all. And I get it, college happens, stuff like that happens. But if it's this bad where you're gonna have it come off the bone, like that's the point that you stop playing. But your main attribute for being a good quarterback is being athletic and is your body that you don't take care of. Like that's unacceptable. That's just unacceptable in today's NFL. It's unacceptable, and that's why he's out again. And when you see it's that like only 24 games played over 3 years with Florida, when you see, I mean, yes, his high school stats were insane, but like in college, not necessarily. Yeah, his one season that he was the full-time starting quarterback, they finished 6-7. He lost his final 3 games, including the Las Vegas Bowl. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been a super Richardson fan ever since he's come in the league. Of course, I can't deny how good he's been in terms of an athlete. But when you look, I mean, his only achievement in college is All SEC Freshman Team 2021. So, like, I really hate to be a Debbie Downer and make this a big thing, but when we have history from high school that you don't take care of your body and your number one attribute is your body, and you don't take care of the number one thing, then you're not going to succeed. You're not going to succeed in the NFL, and we don't really have a history of him succeeding at any level except high school.
And speaking of injuries, bad injuries, and not to pivot away, but just to
No, all
catch
good.
people
I'm
up
just
and what's
on
going on in the live right now, it appears that, and I didn't see this happen live, but I saw the cutaway over on Red Zone to the Lions game. There was a circle of players. It seemed like a player went down, and Twitter's on it right now. I'm sure everybody knows, but it seems like Aiden Hutchinson has broken his leg, and
Oh,
he
no.
is out for the year. They're carting him
Jeez.
off, taking him away, and getting that game resumed. But holy cow, if we're talking about, again, big injuries, I mean, the Lions losing their best player for the season, a terrible injury, but impact-wise too. This is bad all the way around.
Yeah. And that's the worst too when it's in a game that you're either losing by a lot or winning by a lot. I mean, you never want someone to get hurt, but to get hurt in like kind of a meaningless moment,
minutes, yeah.
it just hurts so much more. As a fan, I really hope he gets the help he needs, gets back on the field. But yeah, it's tough.
And I don't know if you're gonna look up the injury and watch it, but the videos are on Twitter. I've not really looked too hard because they're saying it's a broken leg, and with the air cast and the way the players were reacting, it's got to be one of those bad ones.
And when you know immediately they're out for the year, that's not good. That is not good.
Dak Prescott having PTSD to his own broken bone.
Yeah, that was a horrible one. Was that against?
Hopefully, it's just a cramp for Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah, it was not great. Oh, geez, yeah, it's.
Oh, did you just watch it?
I just saw a screenshot. That leg is.
Is it?
It's not good.
Is it bad?
It's really bad.
Yeah, the players looked bad. The players looked concerned.
I don't know if you can see it.
Chat, prayers for Aiden Hutchinson.
I don't know. There's a screenshot. I'm trying to.
A screenshot of the leg. I don't want to see that.
Yeah, you don't want to look it up.
Wait, can you like drop a link in the chat for the people?
Well, I'm trying
Maybe we shouldn't drop a
to
link.
see it here. I'm trying to get the correct angle, where it's okay. So he's running.
Was it his own guy that rolled up on him?
Oh my goodness. So he is
Oh.
side his arm, his leg. Okay, all right. Do you need? Oh God. So you gotta look. Do you see it? Did you see it?
No, I don't want to watch it.
Well, I just put the link in the chat. So he was running. He was wrapping up Prescott, and then his outside leg is swinging into someone's knee who's running into him, or someone's shin that's running into him. And that leg keeps pushing out that, and it's literally his leg
it just wraps around.
It just wraps around.
Hutch, bro.
That's that leg shattered. That it wraps around and it looks like an empty sock.
That's the sack leader too right now.
He's
in the league.
Yeah, those are quality of life injuries. You just hope he can walk again.
Jeez.
Because that leg is mush right now.
Let's see what he was.
Prayers up for Hutchinson. Those are the ones you just want him to be fine, be alive.
I mean, his just single number production alone was enough to be in the conversation for best defensive player in the league, but it does feel like he elevates that defense in maybe a way that, especially with the vibes right now in Cleveland and Deshaun, and just everything going on right there, and Myles Garrett, it just doesn't seem like that Cleveland defense is having the same season, but it really does seem like the guys that elevate their defenses most in the league right now in terms of the linemen especially are probably TJ Watt and Hutchinson. Those two.
It's even worse that it's a teammate who hurt him, because it was a teammate coming in at the same time. I can't even imagine what that teammate's going through. Literally smashing what most likely was at least a teammate, maybe a friend's leg. Yeah, no, and then you're ending what was possibly a historic season. I think last week Hutchinson had a great interception on Purdy, right? Didn't they play?
Did he have a pick? Let me check.
I think he did. And did I just make that up? Did the 49ers not play the Lions last week?
No, I don't think they played last week. But I do think Hutch has a pick or some kind of fumble recovery.
Maybe I just made that up. Someone else got a pick. There's some lineman who got a pick.
He had 4.5 sacks in that Tampa game.
It was Bosa. Yeah, it was Bosa.
Oh, that's right.
I was wilding. But I have seen him get,
Sam's getting his white pass rushers mixed up.
We mixed. But yeah, prayers up for Hutchinson family, for Aiden. Just hope he's fine. Hopefully he can just get back to quality of life that he had beforehand. I mean, that's, you talk about Alex Smith. You look at that journey he went through. I mean, Dak Prescott, I guess, as well. It's that level of injury.
And what does it mean now for the Lions in terms of Super Bowl contenders?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, they already, I feel like we're not playing as well as they could have in terms of their ceiling, but now with no Hutchinson, that defense definitely doesn't feel as elite as before.
Is the path clear for the Commanders?
The
Vikings. But
do you think the Vikings are real? That's real? With Sam Darnold, you're in?
I'm in on the defense. Sam Darnold was a little, glass slippery, turning back to a pumpkin in the second half of last week's game, but I still think that Kevin McConnell can
Yeah, because they didn't play this week. Yeah.
Yeah, they're on bye. But
Yeah.
I think O'Connell can still get enough out of him for what he needs. But
That's funny that both 5 and 10 teams are.
both undefeated teams are on bye. Yeah,
Yeah, that's interesting.
with the Chiefs and the
Okay.
Vikings.
Shout out.
Is the league rigged? Was that in the script?
Scripted. Imagine scripting Sam Darnold
To be undefeated?
That's crazy.
What writer pitched that idea? The Vikings are going to be, Sam Darnold's going to be the surprise MVP. I mean, it's about time, third overall pick. It's about time he had a good storyline.
Yeah, no, for real.
He's bounced around the league a while. He's taken enough dirt.
Scripted. Um, yeah, looks like poor Raiders. They might be giving up. It might be. Looks like they just gave up a pick.
Yep.
I know, so I got Steelers fans in my life.
Papa Price is not going to be happy this week.
Mike Tomlin is making the face he makes because he's gonna hit over 500 again this year.
Has Papa Price started looking at the quarterbacks in college?
Yeah, I don't know. I know he last year he was talking about it, but this year I don't know. He might have to though.
He hasn't started mentioning guys yet,
Not too much.
being like, "Hey,
Do you
that's
trust
Shador."
this Justin Fields thing? Like, is Fields legit?
Well, what do we mean by legit? Is he a starter? Because he's
Long-term starter? Like, could you see him there in the next 5 years?
5 years. Could I see him there the next 3 years, maybe?
Yeah.
5 years, including this season, so 4 more years,
Yeah, 4 more years.
maybe. But it does.
But that's a whole lot better than the beginning of the season.
And that's
You know.
yeah, that's what I'm saying too. It's like
Yeah, that's an
at the
improvement.
beginning of the season, the questions were, is Justin Field a starter in the league? And I think
Yeah, exactly.
he's proving that he's a starter, right? I mean, he wasn't brilliant in the Sunday night game, but he's winning games. He's running around.
He's being useful.
He's an upgrade from Kenny Pickett, and he's not
Kenny
going to give up
Pickett's
this.
an upgrade over
He's
Kenny.
not at least slipping enough to give up the starting job to Wilson either.
Yeah,
So that's really,
dude.
the immediate concern for that team is let's just not get benched by Russell Wilson if you're.
Yeah, I mean,
Justin Fields.
Wilson's not really a starter in my opinion, but
No, I would still probably take just talent and his Justin Fields' mobile, athletic ability.
yeah.
Maybe alone gives you anything than what Russell Wilson's able to give you. But I mean, taking down teams that you should be able to take down is at least something in the league. So they're still getting. I've seen on a bunch of mocks, they're still getting mocked some quarterbacks at the end of the first round. So I guess I wouldn't be surprised. And I guess the question would be, what do you have to pay Fields long term? Because he's
Yeah.
I think a guy that's going into the end of his rookie contract. Because he's the Lawrence draft. Lawrence just got his extension, so Fields is going to be up for some new money. And if you're going to have to pay him like a $20+ million type deal, then I think you could pretty easily see them move on. But I don't know, Justin Fields at $15 million. What would you give Justin Fields in the offseason? I feel
I
like
don't
there's
know.
a price where it's a good deal.
NFL's weird. Like, obviously, we're not doing another historic one, but I'd say like a mid deal. Probably, definitely prove it. I'd give him a decent sized deal, but most of it's got to be incentive based. I would do that. I do, and I think that's fair. I think he would have to see it as fair because it's, you kind of got to prove it to us. Like, you had one good year, nice, but like, we have a whole lot of evidence of things not being great. So let's see it.
Sam's a tough player. Sam will lay down the law when.
Yeah, and I
Really
mean,
has to.
like, who else is gonna take him? Like, I guess he'd be a high value backup, but if you offer him enough money, give him a decent signing bonus, I think you can make it mostly incentive based.
That is a good point. If you don't give him that money, is anybody going to be knocking on his door to give him that money?
Well, there'll definitely be teams that will take him. Like, there's like we're definitely
Like you're saying, as
not
the
in the
backup?
department of saying Fields is going to be out the league. Like, someone's going to take him.
No, but once you start adding the money thing into it, there's a lot of teams with young rookie quarterbacks that are making that investment, and teams that are going to be making investments in rookie quarterbacks in this upcoming class. And what is he going to go to Dallas and replace Dak?
No.
Like,
What, are you trying to make a headline here?
It's not
Coming
gonna.
up next.
A team's not gonna, I think, make a dramatic move to cut salary and bring in Fields. So maybe
Well,
he's not.
Giants.
But wouldn't they just draft a guy
Yeah, but both. So
and
you
bring in
draft a guy
Fields?
and bring Fields. I mean, he's old enough to start being a veteran here. Oh.
Fields and
And
Quinn
I
Ewers?
mean, Fields has definitely shown the talent to be a solid enough stopgap to sell tickets. Like you can hope you can win. So yeah, I mean, I think that'd be great for the Giants. You bring in Fields on an okay contract, you get rid of Jones and that albatross, and then you get and then you draft someone. I think that's a very reasonable thing for them to do. Raiders, they could do the same thing. You get, another Fields is pretty much like like a rich man's Gardner Minshew at this point. So like you bring him in, you want to get a couple more fans in the Vegas stadium, draft someone. Like I think it's what the league is pushing to with the success story of Mahomes, mostly Mahomes, but like, because a lot of them had to been thrown in the fire like Allen and Lamar and stuff. But yeah,
The Jets?
yeah, I think that's very reasonable too. Jets, if this year goes really bad again, and the owner is like, all right, I'm getting all this bad PR because we got rid of Salah. I think Fields can very easily fit whatever box you want, where he's good enough to be a starter, but you're not really gonna put your whole franchise hope on him. But like, if you're a bad team, why not? Like, you gotta be decent. You gotta give these players, these men, a reason to put their lives on the line every week.
What does the Baker Mayfield contract look like after this year? Maybe he goes down to Tampa. You might be right. There might be
There's
more
gonna be
places
something.
for.
I don't know.
Fields
Baker's
or not.
kind of been cooking this year.
Yeah.
51 points today is insane.
I know he put up 51
Like-
points and 3 picks. That feels impossible.
Oh, wait a minute. That sounds familiar from a Bucks quarterback.
Yeah. That does seem like a very typical Bucks thing. Baker, Jameis.
Shout out Jameis.
Yeah.
Jameis. Where is that guy anyway? Is he still with the Saints?
Is he on the Saints? I know he's on a team. Let me think. I know which team he's on. Is he on the Saints?
It's funny that I've been alive like for Jameis's whole career. I mean, I'm obviously for everyone's career, but like aware and stuff. Like, and he's 30 years old. I remember when he got, was it kicked off for a game because he ate shrimp?
He stole
that
some
one play?
lobster or something?
Yeah, you remember that? And they got in trouble. He got kicked off a game, even though he came up in the whole uniform and everything.
Yeah, I think he ran out of a grocery store with some lobster.
But anyway, he's the backup for Watson.
He is on. He's on Cleveland.
They just love not caring about character for their quarterbacks, huh? Like, geez, can you build like a better combo? Like
They only want bad decision makers. Bad decisions
Like,
on
you
the
tell
field,
me,
bad decisions
like-
on the field.
bad on and off. That's hilarious. Have you seen that stat? Watson, since he's gotten to Cleveland, has settled more lawsuits than thrown touchdown
Then throwing
passes.
touchdowns. Yeah, I saw
And it's
that
like
going
2 or
around.
3. Like it's not close. It's not as close as it should be.
And I think
Like,
after today, he's still at more lawsuits. I don't think today helped him.
Oh gosh, man. That's an insane stat.
I think there's a
like,
better chance that he
I-
adds on some more lawsuits.
Oh Lord. That's
And there was another stat that said that they missed like 25 consecutive third down conversions.
That's
This
crazy.
year-
That's stupid.
25. Deshaun.
Oh gosh. 1-4. Hey, it's just funny.
I mean,
The
this is
Browns,
like-
the Browns again. Who knew?
There's obvious, like, what is the reverse blackmail? Where obviously they're not blackmailing Deshaun into it, but it's like they've got so much invested into the storyline that they have to.
They're
keep it
getting
in there.
blackmailed. I don't know.
Yeah, they're like blackmailing themselves. Self-inflicted blackmail.
I don't know. They're like, okay, like Deshaun's like, can I tell you all a secret? It's like, okay, but you guys got to tell me a secret.
Yeah,
Tell them, hey,
Haslam's going
actually-
secret. Is he in the Bud Light commercial? It was a secret.
But
Now it's a beer.
I think if you look at it, I mean, their situation now, Baker's reputation's kind of up. I mean, think that Baker Mayfield was like how many points away from beating the Chiefs in the playoffs?
I know.
You know, that was a playoff game.
Baker's out there grinding. Baker was jogging in the hurricane.
Baker Mayfield will give you a playoff win unless it's the Chiefs. Like, on a decent team, like he'll give you a playoff win. And his Baker Mayfield's stock is up, even if his jersey got pierced this past weekend by Texas after they gave it to Oklahoma.
Yeah,
Jeez,
what is he,
man,
Nosferatu? They're driving a stake through the jersey? What's going on? Like,
it's crazy, man.
that was like 10 years ago. Have
It's
they
like,
not have they not like beat Texas since then? Or
did
has
you see
Texas
that?
not what happened?
Did you see that Oklahoma player who wore the upside down horn and dropped 10 bands for that necklace just for it to them to get destroyed by 3 touchdowns?
That player paid $10,000 for that?
That's what I heard. That's what the comments are saying. 10 bands for a necklace just to lose by 3 touchdowns.
Does that player
They're the
even
number
have
one
that
team in
kind
the
of NIL
nation.
money?
Like,
What kind of NIL that I don't even know who that guy is. Does he even have an NIL? That's like his whole
I don't
NIL
know. He's
deal.
like some lineman, but it's just crazy because it's like you're playing literally the number one team in the nation. Like, and you're not even ranked in the top 15. Like,
So what, he had to get it custom made with the class part on the opposite side? It's not
I
like he could just turn
guess.
it over, right? Like he had to get
Yeah.
the actual class part on the opposite side.
Yeah, it had to be on the opposite side. Yeah.
I mean, it's a cool piece to have, the upside down horn. It's not
Yeah.
bad, but you're right. It's tough to wear, especially with as good as Texas is this year. And they have
Why does
great
Aiden
fans.
O'Connell kind of look like Derek Carr? Am I wild?
No, they both have Sid
I don't.
vibes.
Yeah, their eyes. They have similar eyes. They look like both kind of have eyeliner.
Oh, Cowboys fumble. It's going from bad to worse.
Jeez. No, no, Aiden, no problem, I guess.
Not against the Cowboys.
What did you think of Spencer Rattler's start? I mean,
Well, completed more passes than Richardson. So that's something.
that's wild. That's a wild thing to say.
I'm frustrated right now. I want my guy back, and I want him
You
playing
have
some
every right to
games.
be frustrated. I tried to worry, concern you about this. I think I overheard the fall off the bone comment, but I didn't really do research. But I know that, like, in the back of my mind, I was really concerned. I mentioned like about him getting injured. But yeah, now that you actually do the research, it's like all SEC freshman team, like one time. Like, again, like I always say, pedigree matters. Like, look at the quarterbacks that are doing great. Outside of Allen, who was on Wyoming and still had great moments, against
Mahomes,
decent.
what did Mahomes do? Nah, Mahomes was
Yeah,
great in
he
college.
was on Texas Tech, and like he's mentioned, he had to raise his level of craziness because he was on Texas
No,
Tech.
I love Mahomes in college. I was pro
But
Mahomes.
Bryce Young is kind of the exception to the rule. I'd argue it's because he had such a great wide receiving core, and he's always been on really good teams, and he's been ridiculously injured. So, but I mean, you go through the great quarterbacks. Let's actually pull up. Let me pull up the top quarterbacks in the league. Let's do this 5-minute thing. In the NFL right now, let's look at who we consider the top quarterbacks because
Well,
they're usually good in college. Like it's not. Like we don't college guys are just too good now. It's just I think there's just no more like you can't just hide nowhere. Like now we're talking about what's his face from Boise State, like being a serious Heisman candidate.
the
Henty,
running back, Ginty?
Ginty,
Is
yeah,
that his
like
name?
you
Chat,
can't
what's
hide
his name?
anymore. So Lamar Jackson, we already know his college greatness.
Heisman.
I don't know why they have a number one quarterback in the league, but whatever. Joe
Who wrote that?
Burrow. Joe Burrow, late bloomer, but national
Heisman.
champion, Heisman winner. Baker Mayfield, Heisman.
Heisman.
Mahomes, we already know. Josh Allen, we already talked about. And Josh Allen would probably be the best argument for it. But even then, like, what development did he really have? Like, what chance did he have to be good? And he did show moments of being great. CJ Stroud, already know. Jaden Daniels, Heisman. Brock Purdy took Iowa State to the best finish they'll ever have. Like they were fourth in the nation. Like Iowa State was definitely the best they've ever been. Dak Prescott again. This is where it's like okay, like mid in college, but kind of mid in the NFL. I don't know. That's one you could argue. Yeah, Jordan Love, I guess, is another one. Like you could argue again, but Sam Darnold, Derek Carr had that great
again, Kyler Murray is like one of the top picks in the MLB draft. Like, there's some you could definitely make a case for, but in terms of the quarterbacks who have a ridiculous ceiling, like a really high ceiling in the NFL, like usually they have a good college pedigree. That doesn't always mean everyone who has a good college pedigree is going to be great in the NFL, but it's something that matters, and I think is going to matter more and more as recruiters get better. Like, they're not getting worse. The amount of money that's getting put into this college football machine, like they're just not going to get worse at finding talent.
And Caleb Williams, Heisman as well. Bo Nix, I mean, had an amazing 5th year at Oregon. So, I mean, like you're saying, you're seeing the rise of the position. But even Spencer Rattler is, I think, again, showed some stuff, and maybe it's the compare and contrast with him with Derek Carr, but I think Spencer Rattler could be decent. He's moving around. He's aggressive. He's confident. So if the processing can get there, and if he can get with a good schemer, I mean, I think there's real hope for Rattler. It's why my frustration is so high right now, because like we're saying, we're seeing the offenses be able to, and it's not always consistent success. Like we're saying, Rattler turned the ball over, but what did they put up today? What did they end up scoring?
Like 23, 21 or something.
Okay, they got.
But I mean, and that's
27.
another thing, is it's his first start. You know.
Yeah, they got shut out in the second half, but yeah, he's a rookie, first ever.
Yeah, like his first start. And I know like Richardson's played not even a full season, but the problems with him are not that he doesn't have the talent or that he doesn't have the thing, but he doesn't have the best ability, which is availability, and it's very much something that can be worked on in terms of protecting your body. That can be worked on. That's a skill you learn. But you've had how much time to learn? Since high school. Like, you've literally been dealing with an injury where it gets to the point where you're like, oh, it's the meat is off the bone. Like, now I should actually do something. Like it's just it takes that point. That it's more the thinking that got you to that point than the actual action of it happening. Like, people get injured all the time, but it doesn't mean you got to put yourself as a franchise quarterback in a position to get hurt.
We need to do a little further study on that quarterback thing, because it did feel like there was a stretch there where it was like, I don't know, maybe you can dip into the 4th round and kind of get a guy with the way Prescott looked, and Hurts was a 2nd round pick, but it does seem like all the guys that are successful right now. Like
Hurts was a Heisman guy. It was just they're worried about his ceiling, but he won the Heisman.
Yeah, he was a Heisman contender guy. Did
yeah,
he actually win it? Or
I think he won with Oklahoma. You remember that stretch where they won like 3 in a row?
Yeah, he might have won the Heisman.
So Kyler,
but he got
him,
votes either way.
And Baker. Yeah, him, Baker, Kyler. I think that was year after year after year.
Yeah, you're probably right. I don't doubt
it.
With
shout out Lincoln Riley too. Lincoln Riley's resume is
even Spencer Rattler, a Lincoln Riley guy.
Yeah, it's Lincoln Riley's resume is getting better.
Miller Moss is gonna have an NFL moment at some point.
Let me see here. Okay, let me find a recent decade. Jeez, I'm not looking to. Shout out Sam Bradford. Okay. Did he actually win? I thought Jalen Hurts won.
Let me see here.
So
it would have been
Baker,
the 2019 season.
I guess Hurts didn't.
Oh, would that have been Burrow? He might have lost to Burrow.
Oh, he did lose to Burrow, but he was close.
Yeah, he lost, but he had a historic season. Ish.
Yeah. Okay, so so Baker and then Kyler won it in back-to-back years, and then that 2019. Let me see if I can pull up the rankings.
For the Heisman voting?
Yeah, Heisman finalist. Yeah, he was a finalist. Okay, so 2 years Oklahoma won it, and then 1 year they had a finalist with 3 different quarterbacks, which is stupid. That is stupid. Like, that just doesn't, for a program to have 3 different quarterbacks either be a finalist or win it, the biggest award in the sport. That's insane. But yeah, he was at least a finalist. So
yeah, he was 2nd in total votes.
Yeah, they didn't play great that year, but
behind Burrow, it was him, Burrow, Fields, 1, 2, 3. But first place votes, it was Burrow, Chase Young, and then Jalen Hurts. But yeah,
Chase Young was insane. Oh no, well, I see him number 2 here listed in College Football Reference.
No, yeah, number 2 total votes.
Yeah. So, I mean, in some rankings he's number 2. So, yeah, I mean, have a top 2 finish for your quarterback who's a different person every year. Shout out Lincoln Riley. But yeah, again, pedigree. I would agree. And you look at this list. I mean, Tua, he's a starter. He has concussions and injuries, but if he didn't, he's a starter. Travis Etienne, we have a whole other issue, but I think he's hurt more than anything. But he's a starter.
Sure,
Chuba
Trevor
Hubbard, Trevor Lawrence, but there's the ceiling there. He should be good. J.K. Dobbins, he's been hurt all the time, but he's good. Jonathan Taylor, Chase Young, Justin Fields.
For the Heisman voting.
Yeah, I'm reading through the top 10
gotcha.
Heisman voting. Like they're all those at one point in time were decent NFL contributors. Like I don't know, maybe we should just go through the Heisman voting. Look at the
Whoa!
top
The Lions just threw a lateral to Penei Sewell.
Oh, let me see if it'll come up on Red Zone real quick here. Yeah, I guess even last year's Kyler Trask was like a starter for the Bucks for a little bit.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I guess Ian Book was the main question mark in 2020. Let me look at the
Ian Book.
Yeah, he got 9th on the rankings, but only like
for Heisman. Yeah.
But like Kyle Pitts, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Breece Hall, Najee Harris, Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence, Devontae Smith.
It's all mostly first-round guys right now that are starting at quarterback.
Yeah. Oh, the big fella, he got the first down at least.
Yeah,
I guess Kenny Pickett is the main, last 2021. Max Duggan getting second in the 2022. Question mark, yeah. I mean, they could always come back. Who knows? Is he even in the league?
Duggan? CFL?
Yeah.
XFL? USFL? WWE?
I mean, he's a free agent. Yikes. He worked out with the Cowboys 4 days ago. He was drafted by the Chargers, but never played.
I think he's going to be working out auditions for the Rem and Sam pod.
I can't wait till Hendon Hooker plays. He's been one that I think people have kind of forgotten about.
29-year-old Hendon Hooker? When he steps on the field?
Could we get a behind-the-scenes work is naturally accelerating Hendon Hooker's development? Comes from a sideline report.
Is that the name of the blog?
Yeah.
The Sidelines.
Is Hendon Hooker the next great one? Out of sight, out of mind.
I don't know. I had Hendon Hooker stock when he first entered the league, but it's one of those things. He might just get lost because of how good Goff is going to be here. And Goff might have, 2 more years of being really good. I don't know what the contract situation is.
Back games. I mean, there's no way Goff is going to stay perfectly healthy for the rest of the time. I don't know. We'll see.
But it's more like him winning over the job, right? It's not just him subbing in for Goff for a couple of games.
Yeah, but no, my point is, if he does sub in, I think he could win the job.
Oh, no looking back once Hendon Hooker's in.
Yeah. But, we're always talking about, they need to stay behind the main guy a couple of years in play, so let's see if Hendon Hooker can. But I think people kind of forgotten about him. He'll be back. He'll have his moment in the sun. There's no way we've heard the last of him.
No, the champ, shout out the champ. He likes Hendon Hooker as well, too. So, the Lions fans are secretly confident about their backup situation. They're not feeling too bad about it.
Yeah. No, I mean, in terms of talent, they have the best team in the league. I mean, I guess now with Aiden hurt, it's a little easier to challenge them, but
did he have MVP potential this year?
What's that?
Did he have MVP potential this year?
Who, Goff?
Aiden Hutchinson?
Oh, maybe. I don't think so.
If the sack number had continued to pile up, and the Lions are kind of chugging along here. If they rip off a real win streak and are the best regular season team.
Yeah.
Assuming it stayed healthy.
I don't know. We'll see. The Lions, it's just like there's so much talent, but I do think Goff is holding their ceiling down. Because Goff, he's had his chances. He's had his chances in the Super Bowl, one chance, in the football playoff game. And yeah, Josh Reynolds dropped those passes. Those are right to him. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you do with that.
Goff was pretty good in that playoff game, but I was kind of workshopping a trade earlier in the season, but the problem is Stafford hasn't been as consistent as I would have liked. He's thrown some picks this year, but I was thinking earlier in the year, is there a world where could you potentially trade Stafford and Goff back for each other?
That'd be hilarious.
And bring Stafford back if you're the Lions.
If the Rams really want to tank.
Because again, what are they 1-4 right now? If they lose a
Yeah, I don't know what the heck is going on over there. They feel like a team that feels smart and should be better, but it just isn't, you know. They don't execute.
Let me see what that original Stafford for Goff trade was. Because obviously because of Stafford's age, it's going to be a little car off the lot-ish with what you would have to get back. And I know they gave up...
Yeah, they're 1-4.
Yeah. And not looking like it's going to be trending upwards, but they gave up 2 firsts and a third and Goff to get Stafford. So would you give up Goff and a second and a third? Is that too much? Like, would it have to be would it have to be a pick and a first? Like Goff and a first?
Maybe.
Oh, we have a question from the chat.
Oh.
The chat dropped a question. It said Ashanti or Alicia Keys. Sam, do you have a preference?
What's the chat talking about?
The chat knows that we're fans of Alicia Keys.
Shout out.
Except
Alicia when she messed up in the Super Bowl, but you know you can't find that online.
Sam
can't find that on the NFL channel.
Have a magic auto tune in my head for Alicia Keys. I thought it sounded great. I don't know if it's just my YouTube version or.
Oh gosh. Where's this chat?
Don't sleep on Ashanti, people.
Yeah, no, don't sleep.
And I don't think people are. But the Alicia.
Man, shout out the chat. I don't think might be a new listener.
Maybe an old listener if they know we're fans of Alicia Keys.
That's hilarious. An American Drake. What's the title?
Oh, did you watch any of Drake May at all today?
Oh, Drake May? No, I did not watch the Patriot. That is Drake May.
Yeah, they were not on Red Zone a ton as
it
was
not gonna
a blowout.
No, you got me. I was not watching the Patriots. What did you like that you saw, I guess?
Just a second. Sorry, I'm distracted by pictures of Ashanti right now.
Whoa, man, whoa.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, we're back. But not bad. I on Friday we called this the new parent game, where this is just for like close family and friends only. You got to let them clean up a little bit before you start letting the outside world in and see the new kid. But again, even Drake May, for as bad as the offensive line was, I thought he was able to put his athleticism to use at times. And I mean, he had 3 touchdowns in this game. There were still times when he was moving the ball down the field, but it really, I mean, the offensive line is obviously going to be the problem. There was times where he was just like, would just be in his drop back and then just like literally just drop back right into the defensive lineman, which could be, start looking into some pocket presence and some different things like that. But in the first game, I think it was all, we understood what we were going to get. And I do think that he's going to benefit a little bit as well, too, from just people watching the Caleb Williams thing play out a little bit and being like, okay, it may be like a couple of games where you got to get your feet under you and then he's going to start getting better because, it would have been interesting to see you line all these guys up in week 1 and just put them off to the races and, see how the narratives develop out. But it's kind of like they get to shadow him here a little bit a couple of weeks into the season, and I don't think people were really super paying attention this week. But I thought all in all, with the deficiencies that the Patriots offense had, it does seem like Drake May being able to move around there is just something that they needed to bring in just to at least get the ball down the field a little bit.
And I guess losing by 20 points too, like it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I mean, it's
people
Houston.
Really pick out wins, yeah. Like But I think the Broncos are right now. Oh, they just scored. Okay, they're trying an onside to get the ball back. I didn't know if they had the ball with a minute left, but
The ever feisty
Lions
Broncos hanging in there.
Lions up 40-9.
Jeez.
So
So what do you have to like announce now that you're doing an offside kick, right?
yeah, you have to announce that it's happening.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who's the
I
kicker? Lutz?
something just didn't work out though.
Let's see if Lutz has got some cooked up his sleeve. Oh!
Nope. Went out of bounds.
It got through the Chargers defense, though.
It didn't touch anyone though.
He doesn't need to. It just needs to get to the 10 yards, right?
Well, it didn't, and it didn't touch anyone of the Chargers. Yeah, they're not even close. It just went out of bounds. Oh, there's offsetting penalties. Are they doing it again?
Offsetting? No, just the one on the Broncos there for it going out of bounds.
Oh, glad to see Jim Harbaugh is fine. I think they said he had an illness or something.
Yeah, what happened with that earlier? Do you know?
I don't know, but I saw his brother running to see the news about him. But I guess he's fine now.
Let me go to Twitter. Because I saw them say something about, him having to go back into the game. Jim Harbaugh is just more Aiden Hutchinson stuff.
Man, tough for the Raiders blowing a lead. I don't remember what the lead was. Losing to the Steelers.
What is this? Is this a fake tweet? It says, so Jim Harbaugh went into the locker room with an illness and came back out wearing new pants. Is this a fake account? Can we get...
That's crazy.
Okay, wait. So we've got him in some dark pants now. Nobody else is backing him up on this. Oh, no, never mind. There's a couple people making some jokes.
Oh, gosh.
Did Jim Harbaugh just poop his pants on the sideline? Did they have to wheel him out like Paul Pierce?
Who knows? Shout out Texans, though. No Nico, no problem. And they'll be just fine.
It helps when you have Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs.
Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon also making a case for best running back in the
And
league.
who's the other? There's another wide receiver. Oh, Stephon Diggs.
Diggs. I think they also just have like Robert Woods or I just saw like another veteran guy too a couple weeks ago and like.
That's crazy.
Wait a second. Bobby Trees is just the
wow.
Like the 5th overall receiver.
Not Dak Prescott throwing a pick six, almost yards away from a pick six. Oh, is he hurt? Hopefully that guy didn't get hurt as he got tackled. He was like shaking his head or something.
Another meaningless injury. So the Chargers are going to take a knee and get the win.
Yep.
The Broncos had more wins than the Chargers up until this point. Who knew?
Bo Nix getting it done. It's crazy. There's some real. Wow,
the Lions pouring it on.
Bro, put Hayden Hooker in already.
Let's see Hayden Hooker. Sam is calling for the hooker.
Come on, bro. Hey, yo, pause. But it's like 47-9. You're winning by 40. Like, dang. Like, what do you got, bro? I feel bad for Dak. Like, he's just.
Wow, double digits in every quarter for the Lions, except for the first.
But I mean, this is where it's professional. Like, people got to realize these are professionals. They don't care. Like, they're going to go out and do their job. And if that means smashing you by 40, they go
and smash. It is true, though. Let's get Hayden Hooker in this game. Come on.
I know, like.
What are we doing? He should have been in at 30.
Uh-oh. Did Amon-Ra do something? There's a flag.
If it's 40 points, what are we doing calling penalties?
We already know
it's a penalty-free game.
First Take is going to be about. First Take is the week 1 starting quarterback for the Cowboys playing actually in Georgia. Coming up next.
Oh, is Carson back to the Cowboys? It would be Shador.
Yeah, it'd be Shallow. Or not Shallow. What's his face?
Shador.
Shador.
Can they draft? Can we like do it old school and draft the rights to Arch Manning before he gets out?
Do something with NIL.
We want Arch Manning in 2 years. We're calling it now. Just make that pick.
Well, didn't they bench him? Yeah, Quinn Ewers, right? He was cooking
Well,
yesterday.
Quinn Ewers is the guy for now, so they didn't bench him.
Yeah.
He was hurt. Quinn Ewers was hurt. That's why Arch Manning was
Talk
in.
about fans wanting the backup.
But Arch Manning is actually the thing is they're both good, so it's like you got to let Quinn Ewers have his time while he's playing well.
How did Michigan do yesterday?
Michigan was off, so they did great. Best week for Michigan in a long time. Nothing to worry about.
Did
Sitting
you
at
like
home.
seeing that Ohio State lose?
It was great. I know
Big game.
we don't want them to have extra motivation going into the Michigan game, so maybe there's that. But yeah, anytime Ohio State goes down, especially to Oregon, it's going to be great. But I was also seeing a stat as well, too, going around about the travel in the Big Ten. And I think every team that has made the cross-country trip has lost the game.
Can't imagine why.
Yeah, and Ohio State is another. I mean, they were in Oregon for this one. And was Penn State at home for that USC game as well? Let me double check that.
I don't know, but Penn State, third in the nation. I don't know. I mean, is this like a Big Ten West
Penn
kind of
State
third
was on
state
the
in the
road.
nation?
So Penn State would be the first team to actually conquer that. So we need to keep that on an eye for Penn State for that, because that is impressive. Obviously, USC is a little bit of a lesser team, but I mean, you see Washington at home versus Michigan last week, and then they go to Iowa and just get dominated.
Yeah.
Going cross
Oh,
country.
it was bad. It was bad. I mean, that's why you recognize that they're college kids. But I was trying to understand how it was Ohio State that lost by 1 point. I guess they made a 2-point conversion. Now I'm talking myself into it. Even though it was Oregon who made the stupid play with that long snapper who messed it up, and it was like, oh, hero time. Yeah, 14-12. How did they? I guess they missed the extra point. I was trying to understand how Ohio State lost, even though I guess they got the 3 points. Okay. IT's telling me, all right. IT's letting me know. They got the field goals exist. I didn't know that. How bad.
But I think this is proof for the Texas people as well, too, that they're continue to be the #1 team in the nation, because those do seem like the top 2 teams. But
I mean, the streets have always said Texas can be the best team in the nation. They just need a coach and someone like to get that program right. But if they're right, like it's a tough pipeline to stop. Like, you know, we always say football is different in different areas. Like Texas is just a different level. Shout out, you know, you see that's where birthplace Mahomes, Kyler Murray. Like, you know, it's just. There's too many great players in Texas. Texas football is something else. So I'm not surprised. I mean, who's their coach?
Sarkisian?
Yeah, Sarkisian from Alabama pipeline, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe he is, you know, next successor. We've seen Kirby get it done, but Sarkisian, he's the one who needs the love, because I mean, to be able to convince Arch Manning to stay on that team with NIL, I mean, that's got to be an achievement in and of its own.
I don't know. I think Arch Manning is kind of winning the system right now, because he's like one of the highest paid athletes in college football, and he's still one of the top draft prospects, and yet he's not really played. And he can be like the #1 pick and play one season of college football, save all the wear and tear, and just go straight to the league and still make a lot of money. He can win the national championship, be the highest paid player, and be the #1 overall pick next year, and, you know, play like
That's crazy.
10 games.
Can he go to the league next year?
Not in this draft, but he can after.
Okay.
He can in 26.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so he can go after one full
After
year.
next season, yeah.
So he's probably winning, but they don't really need him this year anyways, with the way Quinn Ewers is looking. But
No, they're just fine. It looks like the Cowboys brought in their backup, unsurprisingly.
so how are they doing the home away thing for college playoffs? Do you know? Is it all
No,
neutral site
I
because
don't.
it's bowl games?
Yeah, I think it is neutral site because they're all bowl games. Yeah, that's what I seen in the video game. But then I don't know. Maybe there is some at home, because I remember playing Alabama in Iowa City, and I was like, this is so weird.
Because that will matter, like we're seeing. I mean, I do think that cross-country thing was a big thing for Ohio State. Not that Oregon didn't play well in that game.
No, I mean, these kids got school. Like, so, it's not like professional where you can go the week before and chill and get adjusted. Like, it's like, hey, I got a test tomorrow and I gotta study and now I got this time change and, even if it's a couple hours, it still messes with you. So it's not nothing.
Okay, so the first round of the playoffs will be actually home versus away games. And then
Mm,
the quarterfinals will go to bowl games and then so on and so forth. Once they start going to the
I
quarters,
don't
they'll
know.
go to bowl games. But yeah, at least, in that first round, I do think we're seeing that home, especially with the wide variety of travel, I think that could be a real big deal. But
All right, waking up in your own bed matters. You know.
yeah, and like you're saying, especially with the outside factors. But who knows? Maybe over the Christmas break for the bowl games when there's no school, maybe it won't matter as much. But
Maybe. Yeah. I don't think it'll matter as much. Yeah.
I
During bowl time.
also, I get people love Will Howard, but I'm not necessarily jumping to like throw Will Howard up my quarterback rankings. And he's having a great year and he's running around making plays, but I don't know if he makes that team necessarily an unstoppable force at the quarterback position. So I get that they have all the talent at all the other spots from the NFL positions,
Interesting.
but I think Texas's talent with Quinn Ewers is a little bit better of a balance than Ohio State's talent with Will Howard, at least for me at this point.
Yeah, I mean Texas, there's a reason they're the number one in the nation. They're insanely talented. It's not even like the gap between them and the rest of college football. It looks pretty big. Pretty big. Um
Cooper Rush better get off the field so we can see Hendon Hooker. I'm actually excited.
I want to see him. There's 10 minutes. There's no way they're gonna kill 10 minutes in this one drive.
No, they're already at like the 25, so they're going to score here soon.
Yeah.
Field goal or something. They're going to get off the field.
They better not play. I mean, you just saw Aiden's like injury. Like you can't play homie. Do you after this beatdown by the Bears over or by the Jaguars over the Bears, is there real concerns for Trevor Lawrence? I haven't looked at the game footage. I'm about to. I'm I don't know. I'm really concerned for Trevor Lawrence in
Yeah,
terms of
especially after
yeah.
locking him down the way they did too with the contract. Obviously, there's going to be a move at coach. We know that that's going to be inevitable at some point in the season, especially with the way things are progressing. But I mean, they're going to be committed to Lawrence here over the next couple of years, and I do think as the receiving core gets better, I do think that is going to help because I mean it's clear that Brian Thomas is going to be a dynamic athlete, and like Gabe Davis and stuff has had some moments where he hasn't necessarily helped out much, and I think there was like a drop touchdown at one point early in this game, or not early, but later in this game as well too. The secondary has taken a step back, so the team I think did lose a little bit more in the offseason than people were willing to admit, but yeah, I mean
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence hasn't necessarily taken massive steps forward as a quarterback either over the last couple of years and hasn't necessarily elevated this team. And I get, London is a place where they've played well as well too. And you've got
Yeah. No,
Caleb
Jaguars love
Williams
London.
in his first season has never made the trip and never really done that. So you think you'd hope to have advantage with that kind of familiarity. But, they also, they have the hurricane and stuff going on. So
Yeah.
we got to,
Yeah, they got a whole lot going on, but I mean, the Lawrence stuff has been a concern for a little bit here, and it's just because of we get someone has to lose football game. Like, the Ravens lost their first two. But it's just the pedigree that he has, and we haven't really seen him take a step. And then there's losing by 3 and losing by almost 20. Like that
yeah.
has to count against something against a rookie quarterback. Again, not a normal rookie quarterback, but he's still, still a newer quarterback. And yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, again, Travis Etienne being hurt, like, of course, Bigsby has been playing well previous weeks. This week, we have it here actually. This week, it was more to Ernest Jones, who only had 28 yards for 6 carries. Was Tank Bisbee not in this game?
I think he played.
Oh, he had like 7 carries, 24 yards. Shout out Evan Ingram, 10 receptions, 102 yards. In case y'all forgot about him,
Um, but yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think they've gotten options in terms of players to have, but they haven't like for some reason it hasn't turned into a winning. I mean, they brought weapons, Gabe Davis. Like they have people there.
I do think some of Trevor Lawrence's the way he reads the field though hasn't necessarily gotten better either because
Um,
it seems like when there's a quick decision and he just fires, then things start going bad. That's when he starts making picks. So, like you're saying, he's in his 4th year at this point. It's starting to build up, but I'm not totally out on Lawrence. I think with the new system and with a better coach and some good coordinators, he'll be in a good spot. But
yeah.
I don't know. What do we have to, I don't know what the right way to ask it is, but like, is he still a Pro Bowl level guy in your mind at some point in his career? Or is he taking a step back into a new level now?
He is a Pro Bowl, but I don't know about all pro.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely probably making the Pro Bowl because not going to the Super Bowl anytime soon, but not all pro. I don't think he's like one of the best 2 or 3 um quarterbacks in the league.
I mean, I guess I think he could still have like a Jared Goff level impact at some point in his
Yeah.
career.
But
With
yeah,
what
well,
Sam
for
Darnold is
sure.
doing.
It's always worse when you see regression, in the league. Like it's just after having such a great college season, it's a little concerning. I don't know. Also, Deshaun Watson, he's not panning out. Those Clemson quarterbacks,
Is there a Clemson curse that we don't know about?
Clemson Curse. I don't know.
DJ Uyunglele? He's not working out either.
Yeah, how is Maryland done?
Florida State?
Oh yeah, geez. Oh my gosh. I forgot he transferred. Oh yeah. I kind of blocked out that
It's been a
atrocity in
forgettable
my
run this
head.
year.
Jeez.
Oh, here we go, baby. Hendon Hooker.
Let's go.
I wasn't paying attention. He's already thrown a pass.
I don't know
He's
if he
perfect.
has.
Look at that handoff.
Look at that handoff you're running. Oh, they're about to cut off on red zone. I have to look it up.
They're about to end the stream. Scott Hansen, don't go away.
Scott. I'm trying to look for Pro Football Reference.
Hendon Hooker, 1 for 1 for 19 yards.
The Hendon Hooker era has begun.
Let's go, baby. He looks good. How many passes has he thrown in the league? I feel like he's been
That's what I'm
dealing
trying
with
to look.
injury too, so he hasn't really had a chance to be like even the backup for him. Because this team, there's been some moments where they could have subbed him out for sure. Goff. This is his first action? This is it. This is the start.
Wow.
That's the
The
first.
debut.
He's 1 for 1 in his career, baby. Let's go. Hendon Hooker.
Perfect.
This is that Mahomes game right here where we're like, ooh, the Alex Smith.
Ooh. Let's destroy a record so he can no longer be the rookie record the next year when he drops 50 touchdowns.
How tall is he? I feel like he was 6'3", 220. I thought Hendon Hooker was a little bigger than that. I thought he was a 6'5".
Have you started watching basketball?
Are you talking about the WNBA?
Well, shout out. Finals is going on.
I've been watching the finals. Fantastic games.
Shout out Lou for making his prediction. Links are right now. They're down. It's tied 1-1.
It's 1-1. Yep.
1-1. That was a great overtime game.
Did you watch any of it?
I looked up the end later.
Saw some of the highlights.
Just a little bit. A couple highlights.
We got Sabrina balling out again in the first quarter today.
Oh,
Jonquil
really?
Jones looking unstoppable. But Courtney Williams has been fantastic to watch. I know I said that earlier before you got here, but she's been one of my favorite players to watch. Just in general. I feel like she might be my best comp I think I play like Courtney Williams. High energy,
Whoa.
stepping up, hitting threes. Play a little point
Have you
guard if
watched
you need.
any of the NBA preseason? LeBron and his son?
I watched a little of a Pistons game once. They look pretty fun.
But I was looking at some breakdowns of Bronny. It's not looking good. I'm going to tell you right now, it is.
But what does that mean, though? Like, he's a second-round pick. Oh, Hendon Hooker getting sacked on 4th and 3.
It's not even like his shooting percentages or whatever, but like not making simple basketball plays, like running a pick and roll, cutting when you're supposed to, hustling in general. Like it's
Hustling in general?
definitely
Now that's
worrisome.
concerning.
And they're going for it. 4th and 3rd. Wow. Hendon has caught his own shot. It's like, get away from me, running backs.
Dan Campbell, always aggressive.
Under center, 4th and 3rd. Oh, man. How are you going to do on a guy like that?
You got to get the ball out, Hooker. Pause.
That was like 2 seconds. There was no one. He had no time.
Yeah, that's fair.
He had a wide open wide receiver, too. I think it was a lineman.
I think, what, is he 2 for 2, though, to start? Not bad.
Took a sec, though. Have you watched Starting 5 yet? I've been working my way through it.
Is that the Netflix show?
Yeah.
I'm just
LeBron.
watching WNBA, baby.
Man, he said WNBA only.
I'll throw it on tonight. How many episodes are out?
Like the whole first season is like 10 or something.
Is it really? So I could just...
It's long. It's a binge. It's a binge. It is funny. Savannah's funny. Who else is in there? Anthony Edwards. You see his backstory. What's his face? Domantas Sabonis. He's all right. You see his dad. Definitely a lot cooler. Yeah. I mean, obviously LeBron James and Jimmy Butler. Yeah. No, LeBron is funny.
So yeah, we got 10 episodes. Anthony playoffs. They run into Dallas. Jason Tatum lays it all on the line for the first championship. Okay. LeBron faces a minutes restriction. I did see some posts about this going around.
Yeah.
Online. LeBron trying to be like, what are they resting me for? It's like, LeBron, are we talking about the preseason here? What's going on? Like,
I know.
Game 1?
But then he's going to complain about having to fly to Milwaukee.
No, I went and saw The Joker the other day, and they played a trailer for this new movie coming out, a Nosferatu remake. Nosferatu is like a Dracula vampire. And that kind of started me on a kick of doing like the Halloween run, the creature feature runs, watching all the October movies. So we'll have to fit this somewhere between Nosferatu and Michael Myers.
Oh, okay. What did you think of the Joker movie? People were saying it's bad.
Yeah, it's not great.
Uh-oh.
It's not great.
We're sitting up for this. What made it bad?
Well, the story is just a mess. It's all over the place. Todd Phillips really seemed like he didn't want to make another Joker movie again, so he just put all of his ideas out there at once. And, you know, the first one was, I think, obviously iconic for what it was able to pull off, but this one didn't really have a message or build on the story. And not that it needs to have a message, but it just didn't build on the story in any way from the first one. And it's just, again, kind of a sloppy mess for the entire 2 hours. So
wow, that's kind of the verbiage used exactly by other people. A sloppy mess.
Wait, sloppy mess? Is that the term going around?
I mean, people are saying it's a mess of a movie. Like, there's nothing worth going. I don't know. With the revelation that he's not really even the Joker, like, is it a waste of time?
What? Sorry.
I was saying with the revelation of him not really even being the Joker, like, is it just a waste of time?
Well, I guess he still is. Well, he does denounce the Joker, and there is.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you seen it?
No, just spoil it. Spoilers for everyone. I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not gonna waste my time on another horrible DC movie. Like, Marvel hasn't been great, but DC's been that bad.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you know what happens at the end, right?
What happened?
So, again, spoiler for anybody that hasn't seen it, but Arthur Fleck they do hit him with the shank at the end in the prison hallway, and he goes down. But the guy that shanks him does the Joker cuts on his mouth, and he starts maniacal laughing. So it's like the Joker is obviously present in this world and still a force, even if, and Arthur Fleck is the one that kickstarts it in this universe, even if he's not necessarily the one that, obviously by the end of the movie, is able to carry it on. But, so I guess, I guess maybe ending it in that way is okay. And I think you could go throughout the movie and go, yeah, this piece of it maybe is fine, and this piece of it, like, there's something here, but just all of it together doesn't really make sense. And the musical numbers, they kind of drag the story along as well, too. Like, normally a musical is actually able to contribute to, like, that's the point of the musical, is there's you have a different vehicle in the piece to move the story along through, and it just doesn't seem like they are able to do that in this one. It really halts it and kind of, again, just doesn't make it really go anywhere. So
yeah,
I'm pro Joker. I do think that there is, if you're into the Joker-ness, like, there is still enough Joker, like Joaquin Phoenix is still good in this movie. I really like the way this movie looks as well, too. Like, Todd Phillips always knows how to make a really good-looking movie, and part of that is Gaga. Gaga will always make a movie good-looking, so I don't mind watching Gaga on screen for 2 hours. But I think that, like, if this movie hits streaming, I would say definitely watch it. But I would say just to see it, just to be in on it. But
yeah,
I would definitely say it's a one to wait for streaming, and you don't have to buy the ticket.
All right. Well, that's some knowledge for y'all. Take it back, but I have actually got to go. Then the ends of these games, pretty much, we're pretty much at Sunday Night Football. There's no games really in depth besides that. So, I did enjoy this week chilling. It's undefeated, but yeah, we'll hit y'all up this next week, and we'll talk to y'all later.
Wait, are you out?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess I'll wrap up. I don't know how much longer I'll stay on.
Oh,
but,
okay. I didn't know if you were staying on for Sunday Night Football or.
No, we won't stay on for the whole game.
First, if Hayden Hooker gets a touchdown here, they'll have the Lions record. They just gave a fumble on their own. Oh, on the Lions 30-something. If they get a touchdown, it'd be a new franchise record for scoring.
In honor of Hutch, you got to do it.
Yeah, who knows? All right, hopefully Hutch gets better, and yeah, but make sure you guys follow the Instagram, follow the TikTok. Shout out to BETSTAMP, Pura Vida, all the sponsors still kick in. Check out all the links below, and yeah, thanks y'all for sticking on and watching.